Hello and welcome back to the AI Marketers Playbook, where we cover actionable frameworks to help you leverage AI and marketing strategies in your business. I'm Audrey Chia, your host, and today I have with me a really lovely lady, Nancy Bain. Now, Nancy is a productivity and automation expert who is helping busy solopreneurs leverage the power of AI and Google to streamline their workflows in just 28 days. Now, Nancy, I am super excited to have you on the show.
It's so good to be here, Audrey. In both of our busy, hectic schedules, it's been hard to catch up with you, but I love following your journey on LinkedIn every single day. It's how I keep in touch with some of my favorite people. So I'm so glad we were able to carve out this time together, Audrey. Thank you.
Thank you for being here as well, Nancy. Now, I know the last time we spoke, you told me a really interesting story about how you stepped into the world of AI. For our listeners, could you share a bit more about your background and, how you opened this magical world of AI?
So I've been automating since before it was cool. So for 25 years, it started actually in print production. I was publishing a monthly magazine. It was a 40-page magazine, and it was a real estate publication. And so if you picture 80 little pictures on a page with 80 little write-ups times 80 pages, okay? And I knew that there had to be a better way than to be manually placing each of those photos on a page. I was driving across the province, so you have to bear in mind that these were different times 25 years ago. So people hadn't adopted digital technology. It was just new and becoming a thing. So I was driving across the province and I was picking up big manila envelopes of Polaroid photos that real estate agents were snapping out of their car window, very poor quality. The write-ups were written on napkins and whatever they had in their car at the time. And I would come back with this massive envelope. And at that time, you could only scan one photo at a time. And so I learned to automate that entire process through writing scripts in InDesign. And so I streamlined that entire process where 80 pictures and 80 write-ups would land on a page in minutes. Now, this included training each of the individual companies that I was working with to provide their copy to me camera ready or production ready. So they were in the end, there was no more driving around picking up Polaroid photos. They were sending me their digital photos. I gave them guidelines into how their text should be prepared. And so a big part of it was training the people that I worked with to provide their data in a method that would work for my systems. So so it started 25 years ago.
When was the moment that then, AI came into the picture and you're like, now I have
Well,
transferable skill sets?
yeah, so in 2009, I knew print was dying. And I knew that it wasn't going to sustain me. I had grown that 40-page magazine to 164 pages. I had two more 80-page magazines. It was a thriving, successful business. I transferred the magazine. It was not only available in print, but online. But I could see that the digital age, Web 2.0, was coming in 2009. So I retrained and I learned about digital technology, and I had a fascination with websites, building websites. And so I wanted to those clients that I had been working with for over a decade, I wanted to service those same clients in a new way. So that was when my second company was born, Supernova Media. And I went all in on social media. I was chosen one of the top 10 social media companies in Canada. They, my work was, I I share a lot of content daily on LinkedIn. At that time, the platform was SlideShare. So I shared all of my tutorials on SlideShare. My content there was in the top 1% of the world. My work was featured by HubSpot. And so I took my real estate clients and I developed a social ignition course. And I taught hundreds of people across Nova Scotia and beyond to set up and manage their social media and their social media campaigns with strategy. I love to look back on the clients who I taught, back in 2009, and they're rocking social media today. And so that was the second company, and now we're just
Wow.
about ready for the last pivot.
Wow. Tell us more about the final pivot, Nancy.
The final pivot. So early in 2023, I tried ChatGPT for the first time and I fell in love. And I knew immediately that there was an enormous opportunity here. And I knew I wanted to get my hands in the back end. I didn't want to be just entering a prompt. I knew that there was so much more than that. I wanted to understand how it worked, and I wanted to build my own solutions. So at 55, I signed up for a data analyst course and I went all in for 20 weeks learning SQL and Python, and I cried twice. I love telling that story because, sometimes when you're up to your neck and as a solopreneur and you're feeling overwhelmed, don't take that as a sign that you're not where you're supposed to be. Sometimes that means it's exactly where you're supposed to be. So I graduated top of class from that data analyst course, and I went to work building my own solutions with the API. And I spent a year immersed in ChatGPT technologies. And then Gemini in Google Workspace came along, and I took a hard pivot. I do love to build my own agents. I still work a lot with the API. If you visit my site, you'll see a bot that I've built there, and I build bots for my clients. But my real passion, and this is where my final company, AI Advantage Consulting, was born, is in helping solopreneurs reclaim their time. I think it's important for people to understand that over the course of my career, it's been a very successful career. I burned out twice during that time. And so, and a big part of the overwhelm, and I was 100% subscribed to hustle culture. If I got an email at 7 o'clock at night, if I got an email at Sunday morning at 10 o'clock, I always and continue to meet my clients where they are. So a busy solopreneur, they're working all day long. Oftentimes they don't have the opportunity to check their email until 6 or 7 o'clock at night or on the weekends. And so I do work to meet them where they are. So when Gemini in Google Workspace came, I've been involved in Google Workspace in the productivity suite for 2 decades. I absolutely love Google Workspace as an affordable productivity tool for solopreneurs. And so when Gemini came along and AI was built into the apps that I use every single day and that I've been using for 20 years, it was an absolute game changer. And what that did was helped to free up my time to stay in my zone of genius. And my zone of genius is working with other solopreneurs to help them stay in their zone of genius and to enjoy their business and to remember why they started it in the first place. Because We weren't born for emails, and appointment scheduling and all of those things can be automated and so that we can live a purposeful, driven life and also have more time.
Wow, Nancy. Firstly, thank you for sharing that entire journey with us. I think one thing that really stood out to me and I admire deeply is your ability and willingness to want to learn and willingness to even pivot because it takes a lot of courage to pick up an entirely new skill set and build a business of it while finding, new clients, product market fit, building out an offer. So that is amazing to hear. And I think one other interesting thing that you said was looking at the Google Workspace as a place for productivity, right? Could you tell us more about that? Because there are many people talking about 100 different AI tools, but not many people are talking about how do you actually maximize the Google Workspace with its inbuilt AI.
Well, the beautiful thing about having Gemini built into Google Workspace is that each of your apps can talk to each other. And that is so brilliant. So when I did some research, and the average professional spends 28% of their work week managing email and another 20% searching for files. And so Gemini solves that, so you can be working in Gmail and responding to a client. And first of all, Gemini can scan all your past conversations and inform themselves and bring them up to speed where you are in the conversation process. It can help you draft a smart reply, but more importantly, it will check your files from Gmail and reference your files and provide contextual responses. So you're not running over to your drive and searching for your files and referencing your files. Gemini manages all of that right in the side panel of Gmail. And so that is Gmail far and wide has been the single biggest time savings for me with Gemini, and the other is searching for files. That there is no more searching for files. It's like having a digital assistant that you've given boxes and boxes of paperwork to, and some of them are just receipts that are thrown in the box, and Gemini could make sense of it all.
Wow.
And yeah, so it's absolutely amazing. Yeah.
I think that I'm not fully leveraging, for example, Gemini and the Google Workspace because I'm the one spending 20% of my time searching for my files. I'm like, where is it? I'm sure it's here somewhere. And I can see why AI can be very handy and useful in that. So I would love to know, Nancy, also on your end, perhaps what are like two other ways that, or tips for people who are exploring Gemini and the Google Workspace? What are things that people don't know about but should try to leverage?
I have two favorite tips, and I would like to share my screen with you and just show you what Gemini looks like in the side panel of my Gmail. And I want to share with you my very first prompt of the day every single day.
Wow.
And so you just stay tuned. I'm going to share my screen.
Like having your coffee perk me up, but in a prompt form on Gemini every
Yes,
single morning.
exactly. Exactly. All right. So here is my Gmail. And before I started automating and setting up labels and filing systems and filters, this number here, by the way, was over 20,000.
That's a lot of
So two,
emails.
2,000 might seem like a lot, but it is drastically reduced. So this is how you activate Gemini in your side panel is with this their little icon up here, and this will launch the Gemini side panel. And you'll notice that there are some ready-made prompts for you. What can Gemini do? Show my unread emails. You can check order details. This is my first prompt of the day. Scan unread emails and list action items by priority. So if you're a solopreneur, you usually have fires to put out
Yes.
every morning in your email if you're anything like me. So here are my action items. It lists the sources. It shows where these emails have come from. I can insert this body. I wouldn't insert this body. This would be the insert tool is used if you'd asked it to draft a reply or a smart reply, you would just click this button and insert it right directly into an email for you. But this is my absolute favorite prompt. So you can see more suggestions, show me my unread email, what's my most important email. You can copy this content in here. You can say search drive and let me know. This is how I talk to it. I talk to it like I would talk to any assistant, search
Yes.
drive and let me know where I'm at with Simon. So you notice I've got, this is a typo. This is a typo. Gemini
Yes.
doesn't care. So you just go ahead and talk to it as you would talk to any assistant. It absolutely will understand this request. It will search my drive and look for the latest correspondence from Simon. It will provide the sources in here, and then I can ask it to draft me a reply. So that is my single favorite use case with Gemini in Gmail. But I also have another one, which I absolutely love. And can you see the screen? Maybe.
We are looking
You're
at
still
the
on the
Gmail
Gmail one.
page.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So stop sharing that. And I am going to share.
What I also loved about the first prompt you showed us, right, is because I think it's beautiful because it's such a simple prompt, but something that is so handy and it just makes sense and it doesn't have to be a complicated prompt for something to work for you, right?
No, definitely not. When you're working on strategy, you need a more complicated prompt. You should follow a framework. You should have your I's dotted and your T's crossed. You should be doing some thinking before you make your first prompt and a little bit of planning. But for admin tasks with Gemini, absolutely not. It is my single biggest. A lot of people have reservations, the solopreneurs that I speak to, uh, about where do I start? You know, where do I start with AI? And talk to it like you would talk to an assistant, okay? And this assistant doesn't judge.
Yes.
It's like this so super smart, but it doesn't judge you. So you can include typos. You can, be very matter of fact and provide simple prompts, and it's going to get it. I see I get an error message. It won't let me show my Gemini screen, but that's okay because I'm going to explain this. I'm just going to try one more time.
That would be
Just,
amazing.
just bear because it is my favorite, and it's something that I want to. There we go. So here we are in Gemini. You can see this okay?
Yes, perfect on our
Yeah.
end.
Yeah, so this is the standalone app, okay? For Gemini, you visit it at gemini.google.com.app, and I want to share here extensions. I have extensions turned on in Gemini. So what this means is that when I talk to Gemini, it can reference all of these apps and all of my tasks, my calendar items, my Gmail items, and it can reference them in tandem.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. So I think this is highly underrated. I highly encourage you because the good news is Gemini is built into Google Workspace now. And so that's so wonderful. So it's a free add on. They did increase the price of the Workspace subscription a little bit, but this is now built in. So you're going to want to go down to settings and enable your extensions. So this is a fun prompt. See the attached and add details to my calendar. Now, the beautiful thing here, and I'm typing this in, but the beautiful thing here is that I speak to ChatGPT, or sorry, Gemini. So I wouldn't be typing this in. I would be speaking to it. And so what this is a screenshot of an event, okay? And it's so neat. So it's just a screenshot that I've taken from the web. So here it is, Downtown Dartmouth Ice Festival from January 31st to February. It includes the street address. And so I've asked Gemini, I've just taken a simple screenshot and said, add this to my calendar. And I can click, and there's two instances there because I did this last night for a tutorial video, but it's automatically and magically added that to my calendar. So
Wow.
no typing, no errors, no setting in the address so that you can Google map it on your way to the event. That's another fun, very quick that I love for Gemini.
Super cool. And I love how it's so seamlessly integrated, right? I do know that ChatGPT did try to integrate a little with your Drive. Do you know how that compares? Because I haven't personally tested that function.
So I want to talk about ChatGPT, my first love. Okay. And I still use ChatGPT every single day. Okay. Gemini is an admin tool. Okay. Period. For me.
I love that period.
And ChatGPT, where I do strategic work, data analysis. I have a lot of custom GPTs there, but I'm actually trading them in favor of Claude projects. I absolutely love Claude projects, in my opinion, far better than custom GPTs and Gemini gems. But so with the integration with Drive and ChatGPT, it's just as simple as they made it sound like a big deal, but it's really not a big deal. So, when you go to upload a file on ChatGPT, well, you can choose to upload a file or you can choose to upload via your Drive, which is really no different, in my opinion,
Yes.
because you're going to navigate to the file anyway. So I do not find it time saving or as big a deal because it can't see your drive. It only sees the documents that you've navigated to upload to ChatGPT. And that's the difference with Gemini, is that it can see and scan and read
Everything.
everything, every file that you've ever added to your drive.
Wow.
It
I
can
think
see.
and I think that is the beautiful part. Like Google is trying to find its advantage and they are leaning in hard on the fact that most people have their work content already uploaded in their workspace. So it makes sense for them to use the tool to help people to navigate that database. And that's an edge that ChatGPT doesn't yet have.
100%. And I would make two recommendations. Of course, Gemini is built already into your Google Workspace now. It is a free add-on, but if you're going to invite company to your house, you're going to clean it up first. You're going to make sure it's spick and span. And I did that with my inbox. That's when I went from 20,000 emails down to 2,000 emails. I went over to my drive and I spent a good part of the day inside of my drive doing some house cleaning. It looked a bit like a digital junk drawer when I got there, and but after a few hours of concerted effort, it's cleaned up with an excellent filing structure and hierarchy. And I think that Gemini will work better for you if you do a bit of house cleaning before you invite it over.
And I think it's very interesting that you said that Gemini is a great administrative tool versus like ChatGPT perhaps for strategy or data
Yeah,
analysis and then like Claude for, custom projects,
creative.
right? Yeah, so it's really
Yeah.
interesting because I think everyone perhaps assumes that ChatGPT is the best all-in-one tool, but in fact there are so many specific use cases for the different LLMs, right?
100%. And I have subscriptions. Well, I'm saving now $300 annually because they've included Gemini. inside of Google Workspace. So I was paying extra for that. But as of this month, as of February 1st, I'll be saving that money. But there, I I can't live without my ChatGPT subscription, and I can't live without my Claude subscription. And again, I completely think that they're different. They have their strengths for different purposes.
Yes, definitely. And I think, Nancy, one interesting thing that perhaps, since you're working a lot with solopreneurs, right? I guess a huge part of what they need to do is to, like yourself, put themselves out there and start creating content, right? So, in what ways do, solopreneurs, what are ways that they can leverage AI to then create more content and create, that personal brand for themselves?
I offer my signature course is a 28-day program. It is 4 weeks, and we meet once a week. It is a collaborative program where we work side by side, and I don't come in and implement the strategies. We implement the strategies together so that they're able to scale and manage and confidently use the systems that we put in place. In the second week of that program, we tackle content creation. And of course, content creation is something that I have been doing avidly since 2009. And I've built some incredible systems to streamline that process. And so we tackle that in week 2. My clients are all housed within a client portal. And within and each of the resources and frameworks and systems are housed within that portal. And specific to week 2, we cover brand messaging exercises. We develop the ICP personas, content pillars, and my favorite part is the content OS. And so this is where we work and where all of our content lives and is scheduled. There's also engagement dashboards. So all of the apps and social profiles and each client is unique. So some clients use Instagram, while other clients are using LinkedIn. Some use them all. And so we bring all of those tools within the content OS. And we teach batch tasking. So I can't encourage those who, especially a solopreneur like myself, who are wearing all the hats for, the bookkeeping, the administration, and content creation. I can't encourage enough batch tasking. So I'll set aside Friday afternoon for content creation. And I block that off in my calendar, and I do not accept appointments. And it is my most favorite day of the week. So I got my sweatpants on, and my cat is beside me, and I've got a cup of tea, and I batch create. And that first piece of content might take a half an hour. The next one takes 25 minutes. The next one is 20 minutes. You achieve flow state, as you're batch creating. And so we teach those techniques as well
Wow.
in
I
week
think
2.
I think like the idea of not just thinking of AI for AI's sake, but leveraging AI, but also thinking about systems and processes
Right.
is something that you seem to be covering in that beautiful course that you've created.
Yes, 100%. I read a quote the other day, and I wish I could remember it. It's just absolutely left me, but it was about systems, and it's about the systems that you build today will determine the success of your business tomorrow.
Wow,
And
cool quote right there.
I think so. And we're not all meant to build systems, and that's why it's great to hire someone like me who has the experience and has built those systems, and I can and then help you implement and maintain them. That I've talked about this a lot, that my work with my clients is very collaborative, because the last thing that I want is for someone to walk away and question their investment. And so I offer aftercare for all of my clients because I check in depending on if they take the 4 week program. I generally give them 4 weeks of aftercare, and I check in once a week. Are you using your content OS? Are you implementing what you have learned? Are your automations saving to your Google Sheets? And so by the end, they're confident. They're
Yes.
100% confident in their systems, and they're able to scale
Yes.
those systems.
Definitely. I think what you also mentioned is that aftercare part, it's almost like setting a plan, right, or roadmap, but then making sure you action on it. Because a lot of the times when people take a course, they learn a new skill, it's just theory, theory, theory. But the magic comes when you put in the work and you start using AI, and then you see like, oh, I'm saving so much time. And then it becomes real for that person.
100%. And I pre-qualify my clients, and I make sure that the language on my site is very clear, because working with me involves a 3 to 4 hour per week investment of your time. And so we meet for an hour online or an hour and a half online, but then there's homework. And so the solopreneur has to get real honest with themselves and say, do I have the time? Will I make this a priority? Will I complete my homework? And I qualify all of that with a Google form in advance to make sure that we're a good fit. I want to feel good about that invoice that I sent,
Yeah. And I
and
and I
that
think it also shows like your passion and care in the work, right? Because you take your work seriously, you expect your clients to take the work seriously, and that's how you achieve serious results.
thank you. That's exactly it, Audrey. Thank you.
So Nancy would love to know, before we wrap things up, what are some of your, top tips for anyone who's trying to build a business and trying to leverage AI, especially if they are a solopreneur? What advice would you give them?
I think that, first of all, Google Workspace, you need a productivity tool. Okay, you have got to have a productivity tool, and a subscription to Google Workspace is under $20 a month. And that gives you access to your Gmail, which you can brand to your company name. It gives you access to docs and sheets and so much more. And so you definitely need to have a productivity tool. And I think when you're first starting, you really, it's specific to AI, and there's a bunch of tools that I can't live without. Okay, so I can't live without Calendly. I have to have Calendly so that my clients have a seamless and professional experience when they reach out to me, and that process is all automated in an entirely different conversation. But I can't live without Google Workspace. I can't live without Calendly. And I think you can get away, for most solopreneurs, they can get away with the free version of Calendly. They can get away with the free version of Canva. That's another tool that I can't live without. And I think for a good chunk of time, until they become comfortable with an LLM like ChatGPT, that they can wait on purchasing the subscription for ChatGPT as well. And so I really do encourage to source those free productivity tools, and before you make a commitment and invest, make sure you're going to use them. Make sure you're comfortable with the interface. And I go on LinkedIn every day to learn as well. There's, so many experts on there. And if you can find a mentor or someone that you admire and in a similar business, see if they have a community built, and become a member of their community. There's people like yourself, Audrey, are giving away, you know tips and amazing resources every single day. And so they're out there, so find a mentor. Don't live without Google Workspace. You need a calendar app, and you can get away with a free one. And before you invest, to make sure you're going to use the tools.
Beautiful. And if you're not already following Nancy, she drops amazing content about Gemini and so many other AI tips. I have so many of your carousels saved so that I can study them and be like, okay, how do I best maximize this tool? So yes, Nancy, how can people find you and who should be reaching out to you?
So, yes, I'm on LinkedIn most days, and I love my community there. It is my favorite place to go and learn, and I highly encourage any solopreneur. First of all, I talked earlier about burning out. I would encourage, don't try to be in all the places. Choose a platform that resonates with you, or two platforms that resonate with you, and do it well. And so that's what LinkedIn is for me. It is my one platform that I do well. And so you can find me on LinkedIn, Nancy Bain. And I'd love for you to visit my new site because I'd love to have feedback. So it's theaiadvantage.ca. You can find me there. And I love working with solopreneurs. And so if you have a solopreneur business and you're ready to scale, I'm your girl. Reach out.
Nancy is the one for you. And with that, thank you so much for your time, Nancy. Thank you for your insights. It was a pleasure having you on the show. And thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to the AI Marketers Playbook and hit the bell for more actionable marketing insights. We'll see you next week.